Coffee with the Editor is proudly brought to you by IRZ and the Naledi Group of companies, which includes Naledi Ring Rollers, Composite Brake Components, and Naledi Foundries. So thank you for joining me for Coffee with the Editor. I think for the purpose of this discussion, I know that you mentioned that there isn't any new products, but perhaps you can take me through a little bit about the company, and then we can talk about the products that are specific for the rail sector and
the rail
education.
So Marechal Electric is a French company. We headquartered in Paris, and the company's been around for going on 66 years now. For all of those 66 years, our focus has been low voltage plugs and sockets. And our flagship, of course, is the Decontactor, which is a proprietary technology that we are super proud of, purely because it lends safety, particularly to every industry that we supply into. Apart from that, the simplicity of the unit lends itself really nicely to harsh environments that need a really robust little design. That is our core product offering. And with regards to the rail industry, the one product that, well, there would be two really. So the one product that we've supplied into a Transnet project, which is 5 years old already, but was our biggest project to date in South Africa, was the SCL 18 wagon project that handled the automotive route from Pretoria down to the coast. That particular product was a 63 amp DSM-6 decontactor, a really sturdy, compact, ergonomic design that lent itself really nicely to the small, the limited space inside the wagons where it was going to be fitted. Watertight, dust-proof. Really, the mechanical strength of the casings of that particular product are also nice and strong, so they could handle all the throwing around and dragging and everything else that they were going to be put through. So that would be the one product that, historically speaking, we've supplied to in the local market in volume. The other would be our higher current, bigger plugs, which would be used more on the bigger locos. We have a very exciting project that is still in the works. Engineering and Kudispoort have been working very closely with our R&D guys in France, working on an intercoach connector solution that combines the power.
And this is not top secret, eh?
This is not top secret. Okay. Go with bullet-pointed headline making news here. So the design is an interesting one because it includes a micro switch into the actual connector that lends itself primarily to operator ease of use and product longevity. It is still in design and in the polishing off phases, but we've been working under directive from the guys at Transnet Engineering in Kudispoort, so we're looking forward to that one going forward. It's a 200 amp plug, so from a 63 amp, which was supplied for the wagons, to the more demands of the intercoach connectors, where they'd have a requirement to supply an entire carriage with generator backup and all the rest of it. So it really is from one end of the spectrum, low current entry level power supply to the higher end where we start talking 200, 400 amps on a unit.
So you guys also do like workshop environment connectors?
Very much so. So again, Transnet is always our go-to customer. And yes, it is one typical example of where Marechal's product is being used in a workshop environment or workspace environment. there we have supplied a 90 amp decontactor. So just to unpack, I keep mentioning a decontactor, and it might be
that?
define it. So a decontactor is essentially a plug-in socket that has an integrated switching device into the plug. So what we're doing is essentially combining power and isolation in one unit. In layman's terms, what that means is you have a plug in a socket that can be disconnected on load just by pressing down a switch that sits on top of the socket. It's a really quick split-second disconnect that happens, but exceptionally effective in terms of downtime reduction and having a very safe means of de-energizing or re-energizing your piece of equipment. So the 90 amp decontactor is used by Transnet in their workshop in the work bays down in Durban, specifically for their welding applications. So there it is used on a typical welding line, for want of a better word, and primarily for their maintenance or for the new coach build-ups. We've been supplying the power for the bays in those instances.
So sorry, let me rephrase that. Are you guys, I know you're based here, you have an office here in South Africa. Does that mean that you're also doing some manufacturing or some assembly here locally?
Yeah, very much so. So Marechal's makeup is very modular. Our industrial plugs and sockets, for the most part, are received in component form in Johannesburg into our warehouse in Jet Park, where we have local assembly happening. So from a local content perspective, we do have a percentage of that going into our product to market. It is not as a significant a percentage yet as we'd like it to be, but it is, again, a work in progress. So all of our industrial standard use plugs and sockets are assembled locally, yes.
Internationally, are there other exciting rail-related projects that you guys are working on?
Not wanting to speak too much on behalf of my European and American counterparts, know of any current hot and happening projects globally. Marechal's experience historically has been with the big names in industry, and being French, a lot of our work has happened with Alstom, within the Alstom group as well. Mm-hmm. Wanting to tie that in locally, and I'm going to put a punt out there, guys. Yes, we are still very much interested in adding value to your operation. Yeah, so in terms of international projects, currently nothing too big on the radar at this point. There is always something happening in Brazil, but I don't want to speak too much on behalf of those projects.
Well, my next thing was to bring it back to Suka Bella. I mean, I'm sure you're pitching. Are you working? Are you involved in any way with the Gabella project?
Not nearly as much as we'd like to be. The team at Gibela are aware of Marechal and our presence in the local market. We have visited sites, so we are aware of one or two applications where Marechal's quick plug-and-play functionality would add value. But again, being a French-owned company, we face the challenges of BEE and local content. So it is something that we are very aggressively working on changing, because if we are going to do extended work within the borders of South Africa, that does need to be something that we address.
Outside of South Africa, so our neighboring countries, I mean, do you have an export strategy? Is that being managed out of the South African office, or is it back to the French office for what's happening in the rest of our continent?
Everything below the equator belongs to Marechal Electric Africa. So yes, very much so. We do have interest in our neighboring countries. Particularly at the moment, our focus is on Namibia, Botswana, and Mozambique. Yeah, so very much so, yes. Unfortunately, at this point, not too much of it is happening in the rail industry. although we are hoping to look at changing that, with rail being one of our focuses. And it has always, for the last 5 years been our strategic focus and where we move forward on a project perspective.
So what are the other applications, if we had to just like look at the areas that impact rail? So would you guys be involved in the mining environment?
Very much so. The mining industry has always been, for Marechal Electric Africa, the primary industry that we would supply into. So absolutely, and there it would be our higher currented rated plugs as well that we supply large volumes into. So yes, the mining industry and extractive industry, the ports environment is very much a key industry for Marechal, supplying a lot into the crane applications. Any portable piece of equipment, any piece of equipment that really needs to be mobile or that has a high maintenance factor coming to play, any area that has a safety issue where we need to look at improving the safety, health and safety around that issue, is where Marechal would add value.
Because for you, it's everything's in the beginning, isn't it? Like the products with the operator, not the operator, the manufacturer.
Well, yes. So if we're talking a build-up of wagons and locos, then yes, it's very much sort of specification needs to happen up front in the project. Whereas if we look at the rail industry more from a long-term project where we are laying a line from, I don't know, Cape to Cairo, and we would, in that instance, probably be working more closely with the contractors on site, guys who really would have to be dragging their portable welders and generators along the line as the build happens. So yeah, the nature of the project would determine the level of user that we'd approach.
But then you also engage with the operator who is maintaining their own fleet. So like the Transnet engineerings or Nigeria, Ghana,
and
they're maintaining.
Yes, or the Prazas and the robust rails. Absolutely.